We have officially reached peak left-wing Toryism in this country as the Education Secretary is now supporting gender extremism in our schools. Do you know when I realized that we are in big trouble in this country? It wasn't when the political left went ultra woke. That was expected. It was when the Tory party started this slippery slope. It started to go a little bit liberal, and then a bit more liberal, and then it became a little bit socialist, and now it's gone full on woke. There is absolutely no hope when the only so-called establishment centre-right party that we've had until now is completely losing the basic aspects of conservatism, British conservatism. And we don't really mean that we have to go backwards or too traditional. We just mean just common sense politics. And now that's out of the window. This is about Gillian Keegan. Gillian Keegan is the Education Secretary, and she's supposed to be conservative. We have this debate right now with self-ID in schools with children. Scotland and Nicola Sturgeon initially proposed this plan for Scotland, but of course the bill would affect the whole country, so Westminster is going to be blocking it. But the whole ideology of extremism in our schools that affects the well-being of our children because they can't consent. That's the reality of it. I don't care what adults do. I am still classical liberal. I don't care any individual liberty. Do whatever you want in your life, just don't affect me. That's common sense. Schools and children, that's a whole different problem because children can't really consent. Now, this whole issue started with this political ideology of, I don't know, well, from our perspective, we would say brainwashing children. From their perspective, they would say, we are so compassionate. We want to make sure that progressivism exists in our schools. And so Gillian Keegan went on Sky News talking to Kay Burley, saying that 16-year-old children are old enough to change their gender. Okay, cool. She said, I was working at 16. I was paying tax at 16, so I could make decisions for myself at 16. Oh, slippery slope, Gillian, slippery slope. Considering that the political right and technically the Tories are still going with the line that vote at 16 should not happen, because 16-year-olds are children. You can't even fully get married without your parents' consent at 16. You can't be in frontline armed forces at 16. You can't do much at 16. You have to get to 18. That's the line. That's the legal line. And also a consensus when it comes to society, our culture. And the political left have been pushing for bringing the voting age to 16. So the Tories until now have been going around just like what I said. Bring out those arguments saying that, well, everything else is 18. Why would you bring down the voting age? And full-on taxation is 18. So why would you do that? So, now, the issue is that when Gillian Keegan is going woke, saying that when it comes to self-ID, let's just basically go with 16, you are literally opening the door to chaos. You are giving consent to the political left to reduce the voting age, and that's also going to create more chaos because they're also going to be giving voting rights to foreigners and everything else with that. So one issue is the well-being of children. One other issue is the slippery slope on a political level with all the other issues that will be causing trouble. The other problem is that Gillian Keegan claims that she cares about children. She claims that trade unions and the teachers who are going on strikes are putting children's education and recovery in their lives at risk. Okay, interesting.
So it is so disappointing because we worked very hard. We were one of the very few departments to actually get additional funding to make sure that we didn't have head teachers having to make those type of choices. And yes, of course now we have still one union who is now putting our children's education and recovery after the pandemic at risk. And, it's really, really disappointing.
It's disappointing, isn't it? Okay. Do you know who's putting children's lives at risk? All of you. From the political left, the trade unions, the gender lobby, and you. You're all doing it. So obviously I agree that if the trade unions keep pushing for disruption, it will cause, problems, not just children at schools, but even in students at universities because they're missing out. But at the same time, don't claim to have the moral superiority when you're also pushing for extremism, ideological extremism of the left in the same schools. It's absolutely crazy that these people don't understand it. Or it makes you think maybe they understand it and they don't care. They did it on purpose. I don't care why they're doing it. We have to make it stop. That's the reality. But we are where we are, ladies and gentlemen. Let me know what you think about this whole shenanigans. I'm Maya Tousi, and we are the media.